Philip, what's going on, big dog, man? I'm so excited to be here, man. How you feeling?
I'm so great. Excited to be here with you as well, man. Long time coming.
Man, a long time. We connected what, like 2, 3 years
Like
ago?
two and a
4 years
half, three
ago?
years ago, man. Definitely like around the 3 year mark because we met before I'm doing what I'm doing right now.
Man, I always say you never want to burn bridges because life always comes full circle. It always comes full circle, man. So honestly, man, I'm excited for the individuals listening to be able to hear a little bit more about your story, hear a little bit more about what's got you fired up. The gems, man, the gems, because you started down here in business and now you're
I
CEO,
know, man. I
right?
know. Yeah, I was
So
my own business owner running my own leadership development firm, but now it's different because I had the blessing and opportunity to evolve to president CEO of a private investment firm. So yeah, it's definitely
wow,
been a huge jump from what I was.
awesome. Awesome, man. This man is about personal growth, man. I love it. I love it, man. Well, Philip, tell the people where you from. Are you an only child? What's your favorite food? Who is Philip?
Yeah,
Let the people
man. Well,
know.
so who I am first and foremost is a dreamer. And for all of my fellow dreamers listening, I hope my story inspires you because I mainly got into business for all things basketball and NBA related. You know, in business, they say if you hang around five millionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires, you most likely be the next one. And growing up in Kansas, being Jayhawk raised here in this championship state, I always was curious how far I could take my athletic abilities on the basketball court. Made the team in high school, right? But never had much support. And I also always sacrificed basketball because I was an aspiring surgeon, right? I told myself I got to be a grown up. I got to get into med school. I actually didn't play for an entire year in that time period, towards like the end of my college years. But basketball's always had a way of pulling me back in. People who, from KU, when I graduated, they would still ask about me. And then, long story short, it really created this idea of, okay, well, if I'm able to be who I am right now, right, pretty much self-taught, what would happen if I had the right mentorship and guidance to back me, right? So, that's where the impetus to really leave medicine and go become an NBA team owner happened, right? Because my whole thing is, Elijah, if I have to buy an NBA team just to put myself on the roster as last resort, then that's how I'm going to get it done. But in the meantime, right, I'm going to, in through business, I'm going to shake a lot of hands, build a lot of relationships and friendships, and utilize that to get me, right, utilize that wealth to get me access to top level NBA skills trainers. And so it's been 5 years in the making. I'm finally about to leave to go train with Kyrie Irving's trainer up in Michigan next week, man. And yeah, 5 years ago, I was still a master's student. And then I think 3 years ago, I was my own independent business owner. And of course, now I'm the president and CEO of a private investment firm. So it's been a journey, man, on the business side of things for sure.
Wow, wow, Mr. Uncle Drew himself, man. Listen,
Hey,
listen.
hey, they call me Filthy Phil, Big Phil, and last but not least, Cadillac and Phil. Okay, and
Oh man.
that was like a couple of years ago. I even had a pandemic Phil, right, back in the days.
Well, listen, double P, right? Double P. Calm playoff P. Calm playoff P. Man, Philip, you said something really big, man, when you were saying you start off in medicine and basketball kind of was the real connector for you. I know for me with Jamaican background, and I'm sure a lot of people who come from immigrant families, usually we get pushed the same four things in STEM. Hey, listen, my baby gonna be a doctor.
Yep,
My baby gonna be an engineer.
that's right.
So for you, do you feel like you being put on that path to higher education, was that something you originated, or was that something you felt like you were kind of put on? And during that process, at what point did you make the decision, hey, listen, I'm gonna go do my own thing.
Dude,
I'm gonna
that's such a
pursue
great
this.
question. That's such a great question because like it literally is that right there is the genesis of
Mm,
everything that we're talking about. So growing up, right, I was born and raised in Hong Kong, the city of international commerce. I was groomed to take over my dad's accounting firm. I said thanks, no thanks, because one, I didn't want to wake up in the city. I'm a city boy that loves the suburbs. And two, I did not want to wake up and do people's taxes. So when he was like, okay, kiddo, what do you want to do? I said, I have no clue. Let me explore the medical field. And at the time, being a surgeon really resonated with me, right? The hands-on aspect, intellectually challenging aspect, and of course, the lucrative career. And so it was initially my own decision. But as you had alluded to, even though it was my own decision, it started be feeling like it was also their decision. Because every time I would talk to them, right, they would just constantly ask me how's the trajectory going, right? And on top of that, even though it was something that I thought I would have a huge passion for, what I found was the passion point wasn't fully at like 110%. Like I thought it was cool, right? I thought it was something that I could do, but it was really like just hovering between 70 to 80%. And I kind of saw that. On top of that, as you can tell, right, the nuances of becoming a surgeon really diminished my natural personalities because, for me in my era, I would have to take the new MCAT, which was revamped from a 4-hour exam to an 8-hour exam. So even when you were just taking mock MCATs, practice exams, I mean, it's an 8-hour thing and you get drained, right? Mentally, physically, and spiritually. On top of that, the only time I was able to talk to someone was in between food breaks. Like when went and go get Starbucks. So it really like it made me a mute, right? And I was not a big fan of that at all. Like I started to see how it affected my mood, my natural personality, and of course, like just studying all day, for like 10, 12 hours, was just not something conducive for my mental well-being because that was not my personality trait, right? So I knew as I experienced those pain points that I would have to figure something out. And when I embarked on my master's under KU Med, it was really a huge facade. It was an excuse for me to be busy. And it was what I call a self-directed MBA in the sense that was the time that I really utilized to go after mentors, to basically binge watch Shark Tank so that I can indirectly hang out with Mark Cuban, right? Because he's a fellow NBA team owner, right? Just learn as much as I can, enhance my business acumen, get into, I would say, the minds of fellow billionaires who emulate the success, the path that I want to follow. And it was so funny because the degree that I got was from KU Met's biostatistics department. It was applied statistics, data science, and analytics, right? Which is the only thing that was relevant to the business world. And I was like, that could be my bridge. And they had me, I was supposed to take to graduate in the summer of 2021 a business analytics course alongside my comprehensive exam. And I remember so vividly at the time, I was like, dude, why would I analyze business? Right, as opposed to doing business, like it just didn't make sense at all. So I was like 98% at 98% completion, and I decided to forego my master's. I did not complete it. I did not graduate. Instead, I started my own LLC, and the rest is history. And that was what really I would say started my entrepreneurial journey, which is a story right in and out of itself. But yeah, that's kind of what happened, Eli, in terms of me and my initial thought of medicine and how it kind of evolved, right, to me actually jumping into business.
Wow. Wow. Man, listen, you Philip, man, you dropped so many nuggets in that, man. Where the part that I really want to hone in on, because once you decided you wanted to make the pivot, you said, "Hey, listen, I'm going to put myself in an environment where I can pick up the clues that success leaves." And I think a lot of individuals, when they're making that pivot, they can relate to that, saying, "Hey, I want to jump ship from here to here. Let me just latch on to the yacht in my little speedboat." But what I think is the most interesting is when you're what you're essentially saying is you got into entrepreneurship, you got into the business world, but you got into it because you saw it as a vehicle to connect you to your real dream, which is basketball. And I
But
think a
but on
lot.
top of that, but on top of that, I did not do it willy-nilly. Like I want to make sure I put
Mm,
that out there. Because in that my master's was 4 years. I did it.
okay.
I was a part-time master's student and I worked part-time
Hmm.
at Kansas City Orthopedic Institute and I did that purposefully and strategically because I first and foremost I literally hooped like all day and I would just take care of my master's courses at night, right? Because it was
Hmm.
online. But in the meantime, while I was not hooping and and I was recovering, I would read a lot. I would self-educate, right? And
Mm-hmm.
in that 4-year time frame, there was a lot of tug of war. There was a lot of tension-filled conversations, right, with my family, and especially like not just for my master's, but in my early stages of the entrepreneurial career, so to speak. So what I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to say to you is like I didn't just jump off the edge of the cliff when I decided
Mm-hmm.
to pivot without any parachutes. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really important, right? Because when you think about entrepreneurship, people are like, yeah, take that risk, right? Do the leap of faith. But like, I didn't just blindly jump off the cliff. Like, I had my backpack, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got my gallons of water with me.
You prepared.
I got my survival kit with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I
Mm-hmm.
was at the point where I had learned so much from my self-education, from learning from different mentors. My first online mentor was Ty Lopez, by the way, who I had the opportunity of actually meeting in person at his mansion, last year. But because of him, that led me down to a whole path of think about it like mentorship dating, right? Like I
Yeah.
really explored and I found 20 different mentors, right? And then from there, I like really honed. Once I found the 20, then I narrowed it back down to like my top three, basically. And
Mm-hmm.
I like went all in on that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you and I met, right? Because Grant Cardone was one of my mentors on that list.
Mm-hmm.
And it was when he became, when I saw Undercover Billionaire, where he took, zero business,
Like, was it five? Was it five?
5.5
5 million?
million in 90 days, being stranded in a city and state that he was not familiar with without his contacts, just to prove that you can do it. Like that solidified it for me, right? I was like, okay, you're gonna be like you're the real deal. So then I have Ty Lopez, I have John Maxwell, I have Grant Cardone and Alex Hermosi, right? But the
Mm-hmm.
whole point is what I'm trying to say is like I got enough business acumen injected in me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Self-education injected in me to where I'm like, all right, like I feel ready to take that leap. Like I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I've learned so much where I've studied success, and I'm still always studying success, right? You have to be a learning machine if you want to make it in the business world because there's so many things constantly changing. But the whole point is, I did not do it, um, without a strategy. I did not do it without preparation, right? I did it with a clear understanding of my vision, but I was not stubborn on the mechanics either. I was
Mm-hmm.
willing to pivot. Like when I made that pivot, I mean, it took me like 3, 4 iterations before I decided I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hang my hat on leadership, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really when I created Leadership Visions International. Like that took me like
Mm-hmm.
8 months to figure out, right? Like I mean, before that, I was kind of like, I was playing around with luxury timepieces, right, as an investment. I was like a business development specialist. I was just trying to find my way, right? But the biggest
Mm-hmm.
business lesson that you will ever get outside of school and the academics environment is having an idea, getting that offer validated, right, by the
Mm-hmm.
market in the sense of promoting it, actually having someone interested enough to talk to you about it, shaking hands, and having them transact with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that. If you can do that, that's a huge, I would say, success. But then you got to figure out, okay, like, are you able to sustain it, right? Because for me, one of the things that I started learning was I'm like, okay, I'm doing okay, but I'm like, I need to learn how to become a master at selling high tickets so I can charge more for my products and services, where there's also enough value to be justified, where people are willing to pay me at least 5, 10, 15K, right, for my consulting. And so so as I went through that journey, right, that's when I ran into my current business partner, right, and it helped me evolve to now president and CEO of a private investment firm. But that is like a huge takeaway that I want people to understand, right? Like it's so important to have the right mentors, to have the right
Mm-hmm.
preparation, the right strategy, and backup systems, right, to sustain yourself. Because in entrepreneurship, you have a lot of freedom and autonomy, but the one thing that you don't have is a steady source of income, right? Like that's what the 9 to 5 gives you, right? You got that stable safe, conservative route that gives you a steady paycheck, but you got to clock in and clock out. You got to do certain things, and you don't have any upside, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now when you exchange that, you don't have the steadiness, but you got to go create.
Yeah, in entrepreneurship, you create the security. You are the security.
You are.
Yeah.
And
You know,
contacts
you
like,
know, Philip, you said something major. I don't want us to slide past that.
Mhm.
You were talking about how in med school there's a system, there's a curriculum created for your success,
That's right.
and trade school and every other avenue of success, there's already a pre-established system. Talk to me. There's no system for entrepreneurship. There's no one system for entrepreneurship.
No,
There's no
no,
school of entrepreneurship.
exactly.
So
But there
on
are
your
common themes of success.
exactly. So on your way to success and you were moving up,
Mhm.
tell me why is it so important to have a mentor and really lean into personal development? What role does that have along your journey? And what is that relationship? Because nowadays, especially with social media, we hear the word mentor thrown around all the time, but at its essence, what is the power of that and why is it so
Yeah.
prevalent?
So that's where first and foremost, self-awareness is so huge. Like you gotta
Mm-hmm.
know who you gotta have figured out you. Like at least I don't not like 100%, but like you gotta be at least like 70, 80% clear on what who you are, what your strengths are, where do you want to go? Because if I know for a fact that I'm trying to, right, my vision is the NBA Hall of Fame, and there's only three ways to get there: NBA player as an athlete, NBA coach, or NBA contributor, right? For me, it's like that's the ultimate vision, and I'm going to utilize business as the vehicle to get in,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, but I'm not concerned about the mechanics. So even though Messi and Zlatan Ibrahimovic are great legends in their own right in the realm of soccer, and I can probably learn a lot from them, right? I'm not trying to be on the phone with a professional soccer player. Does that make sense? Like
Mm-hmm.
because I'm trying to be in the NBA. Now I can glean a lot of insights from the NFL as well. Because Tom Brady. If you look at, I would say, recurring themes, Tom Brady, Steph Curry, Ray Lewis, they're all basically underdogs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're respectively regarded as top players and goats of their industries. The whole point is self-awareness, Eli. Like that has to be there. Okay, because if you know yourself to a certain degree, it's hard to steer you to the wrong direction because you would instinctively know that that does not align with what I'm looking for, right? So that's number one. Number
Mm-hmm.
two, you got to have criteria for mentorships, right? Like, you know, uh, you hit it on the nail where yes, med school, trade school, they have very set structures with their curriculum, right? Like you got to hit the
Mm-hmm.
prerequisites, and then you got to, make sure you take this, and then you graduate. You get a piece of paper, so it's like boom, boom, boom. Business, although it's not like that at all, it becomes more structured when you can learn from someone that's been around for over, who's had success for over a decade in their respective fields, right, and industries. Because what happens is that person is your curriculum. That person
Mm-hmm.
is the blueprint, right, where you can extract years of wisdom and experience from. And unless you're like really hard-headed and you're not open-minded to learning, like you probably won't make it. Like, you have to be, one of the biggest concepts that I learned is there's two versions of humility, right? Like there's outward humility, which is what a lot of people see and perceive you as in terms of if you're too, confident, they call you cocky and arrogant. But what they don't understand is where does it come from? Well, it comes from the fact that you have inward humility. And inward humility it regards your willingness to learn, your willingness to continue to get better, your willingness to stay curious, right, and ask questions, and be humble enough to go, I don't know what I don't know, right, and learn continuously. And that's why Kobe and MJ is, they're the greatest because Kobe has like inward humility to the max, right? So knowing yourself, having the right inward humility, the mindset, the attitude to go, hey, like I need to learn from someone. Like I am not going to be so stubborn where I'm going to learn from my own mistakes, but let me learn from other people's mistakes, right? Like that's what will accelerate it, and understand, like I said, that is your curriculum, right? That is your your more because that they will give you a way more structured approach. They're gonna know exactly, hey, I've been through this. Here's certain mistakes that I've made in this in this, split of a path, do not go this route because I've taken that route before and I've fallen down, into holes, into sinkholes. But here, this is going to be, even though a challenging road, but it's going to be a much less treacherous road, and they're going to be able to tell you that because they've been there, right? So that's why mentorship is so huge.
Hey, listen, Philip. I'm gonna just keep asking the questions. You keep dropping the gems, man. I like this 1-2 combo we
Hell
got
yeah,
going.
man. Let's go.
Well, man. One thing you keep bringing up, and we can get into light speed, which is your current endeavor. Is it's not so much about the mechanics, but it's about the mission. When I hear that, I hear it's not about the method, it's about the mission.
Yeah, man.
And we live in a time right now where the economy is all over the place. Uncertainty is at an all-time high, no matter where you position yourself. I remember there was a time where we used to say government jobs are where you want to be. And even there, now they like, it's getting kind of hectic over here. So with all the uncertainty and all the confusion, we're talking about entrepreneurship. We're talking about different solutions. In your opinion, what does it really mean to move from marrying the method to marrying the mission? Because I was having a conversation with a different friend of mine. He has an online business, and he was saying we kind of had this discourse, and we were saying, hey, listen, we really feel like poverty at the end of the day, if you're in America, disclaimer, it's more of an identity crisis than of anything else. Because if you don't know who you are, how could the world come to you for your solution? You don't know where your gift is. So when it comes to light speed, what was it about you in terms of your gift that made you say, hey, listen, this business is going to be the vehicle I use to manifest my solution?
Oh my God, dude, that's such a great question. Like, you gotta know. So, because I knew, well, first and foremost, when I met my business partner, it was at the end of a high caliber business event, right? We ended up talking for an hour and a half, walked out of the event together, and it led me to want to learn from him first and foremost, and I decided to become a client, right? And notice I didn't actually pay to learn from him. I paid for access. Like, that's basically what,
Mm,
right? And that's what happens when you're willing to pay, for like the people that think programs are a scam or whatever. Okay, like, how do you know? You won't ever know until you go through it. And what happens is, like, you're talking to a person that's basically like an accumulation of programs, right? Because when I
mm,
met my business partner, like, before I even became his client, I enrolled into John Maxwell's leadership programs, right? I enrolled in a lot of grant, like, I probably spent over 100K with Grant Cardone, right? Cumulatively speaking,
mm,
like, over the course of this time. Um, and Alex Ramosi, of course. But the whole point is, like, the concept of, for me, working with my business partner made a lot of sense because I knew my strengths. So I'm
mm,
extroverted, right? I prefer to walk and talk. Like, I'm very old school. I know we're on camera right
mm,
now, but like, if we weren't doing a podcast, I had my headphones on and I just literally, like, hands free, and I walk and talk. And that's literally what I do at the end, like right now at the end of the day, like every day, right? Um, and the conversations can be they have a range, but I knew that, like, it's called lifestyle by design, right? I knew
mm,
that it made sense for me because for me and him, there's also additional reinforcements to just a business relationship. Like, he's a former internal medicine physician, right? I was an aspiring surgeon who knew that I needed to get out of medicine to create massive wealth, right? Because in today's economy, you need at least $5 to $10 billion to own an NBA team, right? He resonated with me on that. He was, guess what? Also, a high school tennis champion, and his parents did not really encourage him to go down that route,
mm,
encouraged him to go to medical school instead, right? So bonded on the athletic side of things. Fellow
mm,
international city boys. I'm from Hong Kong. He's initially from London. And then he figured out the trading and investing game, which to me has always, been something that's very interesting. But when I found out that, he's a bona fide hedge fund manager, I'm like, literally, I just saw the opportunity in front of me where I'm like, okay, like, literally, I don't know much about it, but I know hedge funds are the wealth concentration, right, of America. It's things that they don't teach you in school. And then so as we had a conversation, and we kind of discussed like, hey, what are some of the things that you can benefit from that could help grow your business? And he like listed it out. I'm like, I could help you with those. I'm like, those are my skill sets, right? See, what happened was before the relationship, I was busy investing in myself and I was busy investing in high income skill sets that align with my personality. And now that I have those things, when you enter into a conversation of negotiations, okay, or business proposals, right? Like he's lacking some of these things that I actually can cover. You see what I'm saying? So like I was able to provide with my skill sets things that can help expand the company. And I've been working hard on those skill sets, right? So that's how I was able to identify that it was going to be a good fit, right? And so you gotta it goes back to like knowing you really well. Like, are you first and foremost extroverted or introverted? Because if you're more so extroverted, right, you probably enjoy the role of sales. If you're more introverted, you're probably gonna be better at marketing, where you don't have to talk to people, but you're focused on, maybe running Facebook ads or Instagram, social media management, right, et cetera, et cetera. AI, right? Nowadays, definitely AI, right? And that's how I would say you identify not only opportunities for yourself, but you can verbalize and express it in a way that captivates people, right? Because first and foremost, like you got to have alignment, and the why is also so important, right? Like I knew, right? I'm like I can't be in medicine. I have basketball greatness that I want to explore. How do I close that gap? Right. But every day that I woke up, right, despite how difficult, challenging the tasks may be, or mundane or boring, I lean in because everything I do ties back to my MBA goals and dreams, right? And when you have a clearly defined purpose or dream that you want to go after, passion, enthusiasm, right? Great, I would say, attitude. It's all inherent in that. Because when you have those things, it is the best remedy against giving up, right? Even if you are in the darkest days of business that you can possibly go through, you will still want to continue because you're not going to just give up on your dream. You're not just going to give up on your purpose, right? You could easily give up on something else if it didn't captivate you, but you would not, right? Like the resilience factor is so much higher when you are going
Mm,
after a defined a dream, right? And dream is like the longer vision. Like the dream for me is becoming an NBA Hall of Famer. I don't know how I'm going to get it done, and that's okay because it's so far-fetched. But in between now and the vision, it's like, okay, well, what are your daily, weekly, and monthly goals? Because goals are attainable, right? Goals are achievable. Goals are bite-sized chunks of the vision. And as you start doing and executing, you get feedback from life and the markets and the universe, and you figure it out and you pivot, right? And because it's not going to be clearly painted. It's that same old saying, when you are driving on the highway, your
mhm.
lights can only show you, right, what's in front by like
12 feet, like
and
7, 12 feet, whatever it is.
yeah, but what happens is you keep driving, and next thing you know, maybe it takes you a day, 2 days, maybe it takes you 3 days to get to your destination, whatever, right? The whole point is all you have to do is see enough ahead and know your next couple of steps, right?
Mm,
Right? The journey of 10,000 steps starts with the first step, right? But again, like you gotta step into the right direction, and you gotta really like know yourself. You gotta invest in yourself. You gotta have an idea of what are your skill sets, and if you lean in on your skill sets, right, how can you dominate the competition? Because no one else can quite do it like you. You know what I mean?
mm. Yeah, because at the end of the day, people buy people, not platforms. I mean, they get into the platform after the people, but it's always starts with the person.
It is, man. I mean, an
Man,
LLC, man, it's just an extension of you, right? You
you
create
incorporate
you
it.
create the LLC, right?
Well, you know, you said a couple things from productivity precedes the partnership to, hey, listen, at the end of the day, it comes down to the mission over the method. What when it comes to light speed, and I think about where everyone is in the audience. We have people who do 7 figures on the monthly to the weekly. The people who are just trying to make rent for the next month, check to check. What when it comes to solutions and light speed, what type of person can benefit the most from the products and services and the value you guys bring to the world?
Yeah, so at Lightspeed Investing, right, we are a make money firm when we either make money for people or we teach people how to make money through the global financial markets. And when I say global financial markets, this is not your regular stocks and equities, right? This is futures, commodities, and stock options, which are known to have higher risk and volatility, which is why most people tend to shy away from them. But if you have a proper system to leverage, bona fide billionaires have actually come out of this space. If you look at the name John Arnold, John Arnold took 1.5 million to 1.5 billion in 2.5 years, trading the commodity natural gas the right way. He was coined the youngest self-made billionaire in our space at age 33 back in '07. And my business partner actually had the opportunity to learn from him before he became a billionaire, which is where about 70% of our methodology comes from, right? While the other 30 comes from us being medical professionals who've added additional prudence, professionalism, and ethics on top of Arnold's methodology. So I would say a really good fit for people is those who are more so white collar professionals and they're looking to learn a skill set that they can have for the rest of their life, right? Because when you commit to learning this, not only can you start making money, right? But the better you get at it, the more money you can make, right? So our clients, they average anywhere between 500 to 2 grand a day, like I would say just a very minimum basis. We do have really exceptional clients. We've had clients that's made, I would say, in the ballpark of a minimum of 8 million with us, right? In their times invested. And on top of that, right, if you're looking to learn how to invest properly in the markets, right, if you're looking to invest in yourself with a high income skill set, and if you're looking for a way to grow your capital the right way, right, and handle risk and volatility, then feel free to look me up on LinkedIn. I'm Philip J. Hawk Chan, and we can set up a time to have a further conversation, right? I think under the show notes there should be a link to get some times with me as well. But yeah, I mean, that's I would say from a high level overview, the biggest benefit to people who are looking to either learn something that can create a supplemental income, a full-time income, or a full-blown career. Because we've actually done that for fellow medical professionals where we've helped retire them from their long-time careers, right? If they wanted to. And that's the key, right? Because some medical professionals, they may want to learn this so that they're not forced to work in the hospitals, right? It allows them to take more time for themselves and work because they want to, right? Because they still love medicine. For some, maybe they're done, they're completely burnt out. They're looking forward to an entire transition. And for some, they just want to be able to dial everything back on their careers. They just want to trade from home and tend to their kids, which you know, was definitely true for one of our lady physicians, as she left her clinical duties in February. So normally speaking, right, you would have a lot of anxiety around that, but because she has this high income skill set, right, in her toolbox, she felt very confident not going back to medicine anymore. And so she literally trades all day, Monday, well, not all day, just in the mornings, Monday through Friday, and then she tends to her kids in the afternoons.
Man, that is phenomenal because I say all the time, life is what you have, style is the way you choose to live it, man. I think what you're really saying is this is a tool set that allows people to choose how really to create their own lifestyle.
Yeah, man.
And for the people who want to work, I mean, work is really for satisfaction and systems is how you earn income. So it's not even so much about getting away from somewhere, it's about just positioning yourself in a place where you feel like it brings you the most fulfillment.
That's
I
right.
think that's amazing, man.
That's right.
Last question as we wrap this up, man. I'm a firm believer, firm believer that transformation comes from not just information, but individuals. And at the end of the day, especially in 2025, collaboration is really the new currency. And that people don't say no to opportunities because they don't want one. They're not aware of what one looks like. So when you were obviously you said you invested into personal development. You got more aware of who you were, your strengths, your weaknesses. But when it comes to recognizing what one would say an opportunity, what are some key things that you looked for that help you get, I won't say put yourself in the right place at the right time, but that's really what it is because business is about timing. A lot of
Yeah,
business
well,
is timing.
yeah, that's a great question. So look at it like a Venn diagram, right? Like, and I would say like you are always going to be the best masterpiece that you'll ever work on. So work on yourself first and foremost. Like even if
Mm-hmm.
you're working a 9 to 5 right now, there are skill sets that you just cannot get away from in business that you got to have. Okay, like you got to learn sales, you got to learn how to negotiate, and you got to learn marketing. Like, and I'm talking to people who are looking to be like a business owner. Okay, like,
Mm-hmm.
and so if that is what's required to become a business owner and you don't have those skill sets down, you should probably hone those skill sets first, right? Because it's kind of like multiple skill sets make up the business owner personality, right? You also got to learn how, I mean, because when you listen, let me make this very clear. When you are a waiter or a waitress, what's your job, right? You only see, you're like, you see this little narrow scope, which is you just see one aspect of the business. You show up, you clock in, you clock out, you serve the people, you bring the food to them. That's it. You are not having to worry about the rent. You don't have to worry about coordinating relationships and conversations with the suppliers and vendors. You don't have to worry about where are you getting the furniture, right? Where you know like
Mm-hmm.
what about the chefs, right? So it's like okay, leadership comes in, team management, finances, right? So a business owner, as you continue this journey, you're gonna get way more respect for them because you're like, wow, you have to like not only understand, but you have to wear many hats until you get to a point where like for me, right, if I'm able to partner up with someone, then they handle certain things and I handle certain aspects. But what I'm saying is, as a golden rule of thumb, like let's talk about basketball, right? If you're gonna be a hooper of
Mm-hmm.
any kind, you gotta learn how to dribble, you gotta know how to shoot, you gotta know how to pass. Like the fundamentals of the game, you cannot get away from.
Mm-hmm.
So first and foremost, figure out the fundamentals of the game, get really good at them. Regardless if you like it or not, you have to. Like it's just no
Mm-hmm.
easy way to say it. And if you can't even do that, you're not cut out for it, or you don't want it bad enough. Like you're telling me right now that you don't want to shuffle, laterally speaking, to play defense, because that's the best way to stop, to cut off angles. Then you probably won't be on the court. Like no one cares how many buckets you can get if you keep letting the other team slide, right?
Someone tell Luca. Someone tell
You know what I'm
Luca.
saying? Yeah, I know that's
Luca don't play no defense.
probably how why and how he got traded, right? But the whole and I mean, and he's like an offensive savant, right? They call him. The whole point is master your fundamentals, and then from there, really hone in on the direction that you want to go. And then what's going to happen is you're going to become such a subject matter expert in your own right that now when you start looking for opportunities, remember, opportunities are not just going to show up. They don't do that. You have to knock the door. You have to. You have to be the one that instigates. You have to be the one that propose. You have to be the one that is willing to take a chance on yourself and have others take a chance on you because you are creating that opportunity. Like, let me make that very clear. Opportunities do not ever come to you lackadaisically. You have
In
to
the beginning,
create them aggressively, right?
and
Like my
especially
like
when you're starting out.
my business
Mm-hmm.
partner did not ask me to be in business with him. He saw that it could work out, but I pushed on it. Do you understand? Like I didn't go, oh yeah, like let's sit on it for 3 years and then reconvene. I was like, fuck no, dude. Like I was like, this guy could probably use my help, right? And it makes sense for me to help him because I have the right skill sets to fill the things that he is not so good at. And that's what business ultimately is, right? It's like what are your skill sets? What are some other people's skill sets? Can you combine them into a strong win-win? And that's what you're looking for is can your skill sets help, other people where other people are deficient and insufficient. And if you can do that, you can come in and you can command a very strong presence, right? And create a massive opportunity for yourself, not just for the short term, but for the long term.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Philip, man, listen, I know we're very productive individuals. I don't want to take too much of the time, but always appreciate connecting and dropping the gems along the way. What's if you could summarize real quick, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, when it comes to all the failures you had along the way, what's one or two gems you wish people would understand?
Yeah, well, let's start with this one. First of all, there are no failures because losses are only lessons. So, number one, your mindset is so huge. Like, you gotta like success in anything is about 80% mindset, 20% skill set, right? Because you don't have to be doing investing to be successful, right? Because investing is like the vehicle. Does that make sense? It's how you
Mm-hmm.
think, like the way champions talk to themselves. So I would say, make sure you understand that lessons are not failures. Make sure that you create the fortitude, right, in terms of your mindset of a champion, and always, always, always invest in yourself and stay learning machine, right? Stay a learning machine. Like whether that be reading from the right books, asking the right questions from mentors, or whatever, you need to develop the right habits of becoming that person that will allow you to become a millionaire, multimillionaire, billionaire. Like you don't just jump that gap. You have to have the right mindset and habits first, right? And then you grow and you evolve, and then the millions will come, right, and reflect in your bank because that is the right input. Like money is a byproduct. Money is the outcome. Money is the outcome of the right input. So you got to make sure that you are bringing the right things to the table, right? And it all starts with you having that inward humility to learn and grow, uh, and never wavering on that ever, like ever.
Mm.
You know, otherwise you're gonna fall behind. If you stay stagnant, you're gonna fall behind. So the only way is forward.
Yo, what they say in Finding Nemo? Just keep swimming,
Let's keep
right?
swimming. Let's keep swimming, but you better know your purpose and you better know why you're swimming. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, listen, man, Philip, it was an absolute pleasure, man. I'm pretty sure we're connecting in the near future again for a part two more in depth. But
Yep.
man, hopefully we were able to give the people some value. Maybe some people resonate with your story. And you also gave your information so they can go find you, connect, go deeper into your community and see how many lives you're shifting, impacting on the daily, not only from a financial standpoint, but holistically as an individual as well, man. So anytime I can connect with people who are playing large in the world, I mean, it just brightens the day. It gives me joy, man. So let's do it again.
Yes, sir. I will update you on my Kyrie training in a couple of months, and I'll hopefully I've got some additional updates for you.
Absolutely, man. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you so much, and you take care.
Awesome.